we're going to be talking about turnover and how to start reducing that cost. But before we do, we need to start talking about what's really going on, the root causes behind it, the real cost of turnover, and then some steps you can start taking this year to start flipping that from reducing turnover to embracing the retention going on. So the first thing I want to address is the assumptions going on. The common sayings that I hear both from, my HR 2 decades of experience and then from a third party consultant. And that's the limiting beliefs and sayings that are normal to hear around the office. And it's actually limiting you from the change, limiting you from actually addressing the turnover in your organization. So these are sayings like, no one wants to work anymore, or loyalty's dead, or, well, if they can do it, I can do it. These type of limiting belief sayings become like a common conversation and actually just scoot everything under the rug, saying, excuse, I don't want to deal with it today, when you really look at what that assumption is covering. So let's talk about what's really going on. Turnover, when you start getting in the double digits, becomes a revolving door, because not only are you replacing one position with the same position, with the same position, with the same position, but you're overloading the people that are there. So eventually then you have one seat that you're trying to fill, and now you're filling 2 seats, and now you're filling 3 seats. So the revolving door gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So you're not even working on your business inside your operations, you're just filling seats. So that revolving door is going on. The other thing that is happening during this time that we're not shining light on is what's going on with the energy in your organization when turnover is happening. So I work with organizations on workforce energy management. We are navigating everyone together, getting them aligned. We are working on communication and building that trust, and then enhancing that workflow so we're not adding more, we're focusing on productivity optimization. And when we get into that, turnover is a big problem, because if we're trying to get people aligned, communicating, building trust, working on that workflow, if you got new hires coming in and it's a revolving door situation, not a growth situation, that's holding the whole journey back. That's causing more potholes than we want to deal with. So addressing turnover is going to be a crucial part of this journey. The other thing that's happening is if you're always training because of turnover, which means the function's not being done, versus growth, where the function's being done, but now it's being overloaded, or it's changing. So now we're going to add a position that's totally different type of energy, right? I'm getting help and support, versus this person left. Now all these people have to do their job. And then that person leaves again. Now all these people have to do their job. So again, the revolving door syndrome. You can't lead change when you're just stuck in survive. There's no thrive in that. And so you're always playing catch up. So let's talk about turnover. What are the root causes? The main root causes that are going on when you take out pay. All right, you should be paying your employees fairly. If you have more employees coming to you for salary increases and you are not leading that conversation, that's an issue. People are not paid the fair wage. If you have people coming to you for these weird benefits, they're unhappy somewhere else in your organization. Again, looking at root causes. So some of the common root causes to look at is, do they have lack of career development? Oftentimes, I would have an employee leave, and we had a plan for them. In 2 years, someone's going to retire, or they have been dabbling over here in product management, and we're going to move them into a product manager, but we never communicated it to them. See, at the top, we had a plan, but that leader never had that conversation with them. So even though they would have been a key employee for that new role that's coming in a couple of years, we never communicated it. We never established that career path. So there's no career development, forward-looking thing for them. There's no purpose for them to continue to grow in your organization. So what is going to be their career development? And oftentimes when we onboard someone, a new hire, we forget that piece of the puzzle. We forget that they still want more. That they're always going to be wondering, what's next? What value do I bring? How do I belong here? And so working on the career development doesn't have to be everyone moves to a leader. It could mean that they really hone down on their expertise. They become your specialist in something. There's product, there's process, there's people areas to develop and create that career path. Now, the second root cause I want to talk about is poor leaders. Times have changed. You can't go years without training. You should have never in the first place. But now the world is changing faster than ever in both technology, skill sets, and then the modern day workforce. So if you are not training your leaders, if you are not giving them time to invest in their own development and skill enhancements, you're creating poor leaders. And when you create one poor leader, you're creating a multiple pieces within your organization of toxic culture, because things are changing and they see other organizations leading it and they see that person leading it. And if your organization is not leading it, then why would they stay? So the number one reason is still true, that people leave because of poor leaders. So when you really give time for strategic planning and leadership development and leadership conversations, and then they can take that downward, you can reduce that revolving turnover door. The third thing that's going on is this workload imbalance. Because of turnover, there's no one completing those functions. Someone has to do it, right? Operations have to continue on. Work must continue. That overload can be temporary. Temporary stress is okay. But when it goes long term, again, the revolving door syndrome, that's chronic stress. That's burnout. Why would anyone want to stay in that, especially when there's so many opportunities available to them in the labor market right now? So workload, really being cognizant of what is going on in your organization. Include any changes going on as well. So we know it's a changing world in product, process, and people. Are you giving time to that? Or is that an extra thing on their growing plate? How are you managing that workload? And then the fourth root cause that I want to talk about is mismatched roles. So when you get into this revolving door mode, you are just placing people because you need people, but then that person doesn't work out. So then you place it with another person and that person doesn't work out either. When you mismatch roles, it is a higher chance that you're going to have more turnover, because not only is that person going to leave because they should have never been in that role in the first place, but now you just made someone else mad on the team because they're overworked, because they're overloaded, because they're also doing that job. So now you have two. Now you have two seats to fill. So really taking time to strategically place your workforce, your candidates into the right roles, and I use DISC behavioral science to help with that, is going to enhance your organization in a successful route forward. You're building an agile team. And when you start switching that thought from recruitment, placement, just onboarding, to this is a strategic workforce plan. We're going to take time to do good interviews with tight timelines still, but we're going to make sure that their natural behaviors match the role that we need. Now, let's talk about costs. Out on my website is a de-energized workforce calculator. And what that means is you can calculate the cost of turnover, the cost of dysfunctional meetings, the cost of hire, and the cost of disengagement. So I want you to go out there and calculate those four. It is going to blow your mind. Because when you can't get budgets for leadership training, when you can't get time to even talk about these conversations, when you do those four calculators, it is a substantial amount of money you are spending right now. Cost of turnover, according to SHRM, is 6 to 9 months of a salary. Every time someone leaves through that revolving door, you are wasting 6 to 9 months of their salary. That is significant. Now, picture over 40% turnover. How much money you are losing in your operation on your P&L from turnover. That's one factor. So now do cost of hire, cost of dysfunctional meetings, cost of disengagement, and you're going to see this blow up. So we need to start rethinking where we're spending money. We do big spend on turnover. We do big spend on separating employees from our organization, and we do just such minimal spend on retention, on the actual experience of the people doing the work in our organization. The organizations that are thriving are the ones that are focusing on the retention efforts, on really focusing on leadership training, where are we going, change management, this workforce energy management factors, so that they don't waste money on turnover. So they're not wasting thousands and thousands of dollars on turnover. So think about that. SHRM says 6 to 9 months of salary is the cost of turnover for one person. One person. Times that against how many people have left your organization last year. Now, steps. We're really going to be digging into these concepts of workforce strategy and workforce energy management more. So make sure that you are connecting, subscribe, follow, share this out to your leaders so we can begin the conversation and start to dive into these steps a little bit further. Let's begin with leadership development. So when we talk about leadership development, I think sometimes they see a couple $1,000s a year for one leader, but when you break it down per month, it ends up being like $150 a month. So for example, my mastermind, where we meet every month going through a tool and having that peer support, that collaborative real world application discussion, they get out for an hour, but then they also have to practice the tools. Then they also have to give some feedback to me on how they went. Are we giving them that time to practice those tools? Are they always in reaction mode? See, that's only a couple hours a month for them to develop these new skills. It's a minimal cost, but yet we can't get it. We can't get the budget. What if that leader leaves? What's the expense to your organization? What if that leader continues those poor skills or those outdated skills or those traditional ways that no longer work? What's the cost of someone in their team? Multiple people in their team leaving? Again, can we flip it to more retention effort expenses than turnover? Because turnover doesn't aid your organization. It doesn't grow it. It doesn't enhance it. Retention does. That's your future leaders. That's your future product makers. That's the people that are going to have creative minds and space to innovate that next thing that's going to blow your competition out of the water. So the first step you're going to take is work on leadership development. The second thing I want you to focus on, and I'll have future videos in more detail on this, is employee development plans and career path. How do you do it? How do you align with not only your organization, but with the employee so that you don't lose them on the way? Because no one's going to wait 10 years for that conversation anymore. We should be having that, and it should be an ongoing discussion integrated in your operation, not a one-time-a-year conversation during the performance review. The third step that you're going to take, and again, there's going to be a future video digging into this further, is redesigning the positions. I still see positions on job boards posted the same as they were 10 years ago. That is not the same position. What if? What is the future of your organization? Are you building these agile teams for what your organization looks like in 2 years, in 5 years? Or are you still recruiting from historic past? Because you're missing growth opportunities within your organization for that type of talent. So the question isn't, can we afford to invest in our people? But can we afford not to?